Well, joining us on the program tonight, Admiral Sushil Kumar, the former Navy Chief, the former head of RAW, Amarjit Singh Dullat, and Anirudh Behel, the editor of CobraPost.com. Mr. Dullat, I'd like to ask you first about this whole ISI business. You have a vast experience of dealing with their tactics. How do you look at what's been stated today?
See, I would go along with your assessment that you gave a little while ago, because I look at it like this, that if the Lashkar was involved, as we have heard, then obviously the ISI is involved, because it's well known that the LET is the most favored of the terrorist groups that the ISI favors. In fact, it's generally regarded as its own outfit. Now, the second question is that, okay, if that is so, again, I agree that if that be so, then some people do suggest that, could it be rogue elements from within the ISI? Now, given the scale and the magnitude of the operation, I don't think this could have been thought of or executed
without the Army's help.
Without the Army's help, or without the top brass of the ISI being involved. The only question, and I think you've already provided the answer, that possibly the civilian government was not involved.
I wanted to ask you about that, because a lot of us find that so difficult to believe. I mean,
no, I don't think it's. I don't think it's so difficult.
Is it really so clear cut, that distinction between the civilian authority and the ISI and the Army?
It is not clear cut. It's always blurred in Pakistan, but it reminds one of what happened in Kargil, And at that point of time, we heard that the civilian government had been bypassed. Now, if President Zardari and his government was not in the loop this time, then it doesn't augur very well for the PPP government.
Okay, but then one quick question on this again. The motivation, I mean, apart from the obvious ISI strategy of bleeding India, what do you think the motivation was specifically behind an attack of this scale?
I think this is exactly the motivation to hit at the commercial capital of India and really shake us up, It's not, 2008, as you know, has been a particularly bad year, and it hasn't ended yet. So if you look back at all the attacks that have taken place, the motive is the same. And perhaps the earlier attacks didn't have the kind of impact that this one has had. I mean, now you can see how people are reacting throughout the country, and there's a lot of anger all around.
All right, and we've also seen this bizarre blame game in the last few days after this attack. Admiral Kumar, tell us about that. I mean, you have the RAW saying that we gave these specific inputs, the police saying we didn't have specific inputs, the Navy saying the intelligence we got was not actionable. What is actionable intelligence? What does that mean?
Well, at the outset, I must say that this operation has been a failure, and we have to recognize that. We were caught off guard, we were unprepared, and our operational response was inadequate. Whether it was an intelligence networking that failed, whether it was our operational response that failed, from top to bottom, we have failed as a nation to respond to what is now a global phenomenon. Having said that, I must add that had we taken heed of the measures that were prescribed post-Kargil, we would never have been in this position. Many of the measures, the slew of measures that are being talked about today were thought about 10 years ago. But unfortunately, they're not in position. Had they been in position, we wouldn't be in the state that we are.
Anirudh, let me ask you, I mean, we've seen a spate of media leaks over the last few days. Everyone's pointing the finger at each other. So if you were to fix responsibility, on whom would that fall?
I think it's a responsibility more, we haven't been able to disseminate the intelligence that has been gathered adequately. I mean, as a layperson, as a person who's been talking to lots of former defense personnel and so on and so forth, it lay at the dissemination level. And also I think there is a tendency, especially in your Joint Intelligence Committee, so to speak, the tendency, I mean, that if your organization has got that bit of intelligence, a bit of credit mongering out there, and that perhaps has to be set right.